What is up, Red Mages? This is Vanispheres with a commentary on Avengers. So, I was initially thinking I was going to maybe write an extra post where I would discuss finishing the main campaign and the multiplayer, and then I realized, hey, this is why I'm doing these more like audio logs instead. Gives me the opportunity to just say it outright instead. And also not write a script or go back and edit it because this all sounds super weird. Good job, me. All right, so yeah, yesterday I finished the Avengers campaign, and it is such a weird mixed bag of an experience. The initial couple of hours, I was really enjoying it. I think a lot of people were. The introduction of Kamala was absolutely amazing. Her interactions with the Avengers at the tower were fantastic. The story and interactions between all the characters feels really, really good for the most part. Yeah, it was just a really solid first couple hours, and then the repetition starts to kind of set in, or story beats start to kind of really start to be a lot more predictable, and it just starts to kind of lose its luster after time. And like the one thing that actually really did kind of disappoint me overall was like not each of the Avengers or not every Avenger is given their time to shine really. So Kamala Khan, mix up my politics and my comic books. Kamala Khan definitely gets a lot of really fantastic screen time. They wrote her really, really well. I absolutely loved her. I played her primarily through the campaign whenever I had the opportunity. She ended up being my strongest character. Like I thought she was a lot of fun to play as. Bruce Banner got himself also quite a bit of screen time too. Their dynamic was absolutely fantastic. Iron Man was fine. I actually did not enjoy playing him, and he wasn't nearly as annoying as I thought he was going to be. He was still annoying throughout most of the campaign, but it wasn't terrible. Black Widow, I literally used only when I had to, and Captain America by the end, same thing. It was just as a necessity versus anything else. But the overall story is overall like really, it's fine. It is absolutely fine. You can tell this is set up for like future DLC and future content for it. And if they are going to be doing what they're saying they're going to do, which is making this a long-term experience, okay, fine. You kind of have my attention. I'm kind of curious to see where you're going to be going with this. The ending does leave a lot to be desired, but because the game is designed to have more content in the future, I kind of let that slide for a bit overall. And yeah, it's just fine though. Like I said, I was really disappointed that Thor has almost no screen time throughout the entire campaign. It was really disappointing because out of all the Avengers to use, he's actually my favorite. I think he was just a lot of fun to use. The way you can use Mjolnir is actually pretty interesting. But yeah, overall, it's fine. It's okay. If it was just a single player campaign experience, just as it is, without any of the multiplayer crap added onto it, I would still absolutely not recommend this game at $60. I would be much more inclined to say wait till it's on sale on a Steam sale for like $20, because that's how I played it. I'm sure on consoles it'll drop in price a bit faster as well, just to kind of get maybe like late adopters. But for $20, I would say the single player campaign is worth it because if nothing else, to see Kamala interacting with her dad and Bruce is worth price of admission just for those scenes. They're really fantastic. There's a scene between Tony Stark and Captain Rogers, which was also really, really good too. Like, there's a lot of really great moments in between a lot of just as well. So definitely like if you've read any reviews so far, the slower moments are absolutely the highlights of this game. So yeah, that alone makes it something I would say I would recommend at some point, but as of right now, no. Then there's the actual like gameplay itself. Again, like when I first started playing it, I was really enjoying it. I thought it was fun. It was exciting. It was dynamic. And then you start to see the repetition start to set in. Like you start to notice things like Thor and Hulk kind of have a little bit of the same skill set. Or in reality, Thor looks like he's more of a combination of Thor and Iron Man in terms of how they play, with a little bit of a twist with how Mjolnir kind of operates. And I'm trying to think who, like, if there's any other kind of similarities for you. I think even like Black Widow and Captain America maybe a little bit have a little bit of similarity. That's kind of a stretch, I think. But yeah, it's just you start to just kind of notice things that just start repeating themselves. The combat itself, again, gets really repetitive, really, really fast. Like I said, those first couple of hours are absolutely the highlight and the story bits throughout it. But the actual minutia of the actual gameplay, it does get old pretty fast. And you can start to see like the hints, especially if you don't do multiplayer until you're done with the campaign. You really do start to see where the inspiration for the maps start to come from, or where the gameplay elements are designed for. It's designed for that multiplayer experience where you can have other people together and play through those stories, play through those bits. And that would be fine if the multiplayer worked. At the time of this recording, I just finished a session of the multiplayer stuff, and it was broken more often than it was working, honestly. Like, trying to find other people online, either nobody's playing on Steam, or the matchmaking takes forever, and then there's glitches and there's bugs for it. The last map that I was doing, the game had glitched, so I could not see my health bar. I couldn't see enemy health bars. I had no idea where my people were. The audio on my teammates was super, super low, where I couldn't hear them over the sound of all the explosions and stuff. It was honestly just a huge mess. And also kind of put in perspective, when I was playing it, I was playing as Thor, and I think I started at like level 6, maybe. That's probably even a stretch show, maybe close to like level 3. And playing for less than an hour, I was already like level 9. And the crazy part, though, too, is even when I was the lower level doing the multiplayer, my item and / hero level was actually on par with everybody else. I guess I must have gotten lucky with loot drops or something, but yeah, when I was playing with folks who were like level 11 and 14, when I was way lower than them, my item level was fine. So I'm not sure if that was because of like the stat boosting that they have to do to just so that everyone can play or not, but yeah, it was. I thought it was a little strange to me at first. And then I started getting loot too, and again, like by the end of each time I played, I was like the highest level character, which is again super weird. Yeah, we got disconnected twice. I think I played 5 maps altogether. Like I said, twice it just flat out kicked everybody out. One time it was actually mid map. I got kicked out. So yeah, that was my phone. Sorry. Yeah, and yeah, it was just and it was honestly it does get kind of old after a while. I think one of the parts that to me that was generally like the most disappointing was I was hoping they would have added on after the beta, which would be like dynamic team combos where like something just as classic as Tony like shooting out blasts from his reactors to cap shield and then then ricochets that to other enemies, something like that, or like Hulk and Thor just doing like some sort of strange combo together, something like that. If they had like some sort of interconnected combo system, I would really be looking forward to that, and I would be more inclined to do more multiplayer because I would like to see those combos more frequently, but there's nothing designed for that, which is, again, really, really disappointing. It just seems like such a given kind of thing, especially like at this point in the story, the Avengers have been together for a long time, and Kamala, maybe even as the newest person, she's such a fangirl for this stuff too. She could naturally like move along with stuff. I think that would have been really nice. I hope they add it at some point. I kind of doubt it, considering they're trying to make this more like a Destiny looter shooter. They don't really, even those characters I don't think really have dynamic combo systems like that. So it's just, it's just kind of, it is what it is. So the last real thing I wanted to kind of talk about too is just the bugs. It is a very, very buggy game, like not only within the multiplayer but in the single player. And like I will probably end up doing a separate blog post about this too, in terms of just the little details that this game absolutely misses. For example, there's a scene where Tony is in his regular street gear. There's a story cutscene kind of going on, and then an action scene breaks out instantly from that, and Tony is instantly in his Iron Man suit. There's no cutscene to show him putting his stuff on. He's just in it. And it's super jarring for that too, and especially in 2020 when we're paying more attention to story, and the game does take a lot of time to have these slow moments where characters can interact with each other. I was really hoping they would have even like little story moments where like, oh no, shit's going down, Tony presses a button somewhere, and then the Iron Man suit comes to him or something, like you see in the film version of the Avengers. But you don't get to see something like that. Or the very end when you're about to like do the big final battle, like there was such a really cool moment that was just not there, where they put on like all of their new Avengers gear. It just doesn't happen. Like they just pop up in their new gear. And that's such a missed opportunity for a cool Kamala moment, or for Tony to say something to just about uniting folks, or Cap to say something kind of neat, but nothing. It's just they just kind of pop into that. And another, this is a little quibble for too, but Kamala does refer to herself as Miss Marvel. It's never introduced in the story that she's referred to herself as that, or that's going to be her new name. It just sort of just pops, and it just seems like, well, who came up with that? Like, it's just little jarring moments like that that I just really wish they had taken a little more time into fixing. And like, again, like small bugs too, like, if you see an enemy and there's a barrier between the two of them, you can, if you're Kamala especially, you can punch through the wall and deal damage to them, or you can inflict like the super combo moves to like deal extra damage. You can just do that. Like, it shouldn't be that way. Like, I would hope in the future they could fix these kind of bugs for it too, or fix these glitches, but yeah, it's disappointing. It really is. And like I said, when you combine those low light moments with the highlight moments of, again, the great story beats, those initial first couple of hours, there are some really genuinely cool moments. Like, there's been times where like my NPC Avengers are doing an attack, and then I do an extra finishing move at the end for it too. So it does kind of have a natural kind of combat system for that, where you can kind of make your own cool moments. But the fact that the game doesn't have its own like coordinated effort for that is again really, really disappointing. And it's really short. Like, the campaign took me 12 hours to beat, and to the game's credit, those 12 hours did objectively fly by really fast. So, mazel tov for that. But especially when you get to the very end of the game, it just sort of just plops out. And that's disappointing too. Like, it just didn't feel like a natural transition from like a major story beat that would lead naturally into the finale. It does kind of feel like they were trying to at one point, but it just didn't quite stick the landing for it. It just seems, again, just more of a just plop. Sorry, that's my phone again. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at with it right now. Like, I genuinely did try to get the multiplayer shot again, because the game does look absolutely gorgeous on my screen. Like, I'm using that 43-inch Asus ROG, like, hardcore, amazing 4K HDR system. So when the game is popping, it's popping. It looks, the colors are vibrant, the enemies look great, but the gameplay is just so repetitive, and it does get boring really fast. The boss fights to me were absolutely uninteresting in every sense of the word, including the final boss too. I wish it, like, I know what they're trying to go for with it, but they just kind of like petered out in the execution. And I just really hope that the future expansion packs will introduce some more interesting elements to it and some new environments, which I feel like that they are generally trying to do, that they're just saving the rest of the environments and the rest of the content for the new Avengers characters. I get it. I don't like that they're doing it, but I get it. Yeah, this is, like, I don't want to give like games like this like a rating anymore, because I think everyone does ratings to death. Like, I think I'd rather just say, like, what dollar value should you pay for this game? And I would honestly say this, as it stands right now, this is a $20 game. Like, the story elements alone are worth the price of admission, but it is definitely worth $20. It is not worth the $60 right now. If it had better multiplayer, I would definitely say for $40, because again, it's still glitchy. If they had more content for it, if this is worth more than longer than 12 hours, yeah, I would say maybe pay more. But yeah, it's a $20 game. But I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Are you enjoying it? Let me know in the comments. Let me know on Discord, Twitter, Instagram, whatever social media links are in the blog itself. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I tip my hat to you, as only a Manderville man can.